And I return with our old friend Stu Burguiere of Stu Does America fame. So, Stu, I was shocked this week to find out that I didn't know this. How long ago did you get vaccinated?
A month ago, maybe?
A month ago?
Something like that. I have no, as you know, Pat, I'm a COVID-19 survivor.
Yes, I do know that.
I did not feel the need to be first in line for this, by any means. I'm not an anti-vax guy. I'm a big fan of them. So I wanted to get them, but I also didn't want to get in front of anybody. I didn't want to get in front of an 85-year-old with, heart disease to get my shot. So I waited. I wound up getting the good old Johnson & Johnson.
One and done.
Okay.
One and done, yeah. I liked it because of the idea of, first of all, it's the absolute lowest demand possible, considering, they took it off the market for basically no reason. I mean, it was a 1 in a million chance of among young women.
Well, they never solved anything by taking it off at all. They took it off, and then they brought, you know what? We'll put it back on.
Yeah, and it was blood clots in young women. Right?
Blood clots in young women, which something that they can easily treat now that they know about it. I mean, they got caught off guard by a few cases, but it was legitimately like 1 in a million people who took the vaccine. And, of course, obviously then everyone's like, well, they took it off the market. I'm not going to pick that one. So now that we're, flush with doses of the Johnson & Johnson. But, having... A lot of it goes to the idea of a consistent response with your immune system. So basically, like you get it, natural immunity. Like for example, Keith, who was basically wiped off the planet. At least his voice was.
Oh yeah,
for 2 months. I mean, it was brutal.
And you were seriously sick.
Very sick. Yes.
Yeah. Like his immune response was probably really strong to take care of that. Right. Mine, I had an asymptomatic case. So I literally never felt one symptom.
Wow.
And my whole family had it, and we were all asymptomatic. So my case was very mild.
Yeah.
And so...
you figured, okay, I don't have...
I probably didn't get as robust a response as Keith did.
So you're not as immune as maybe Keith would be.
Yeah, and that's one of the things they talk about with natural immunity. You get a really good response from natural immunity, you're probably fine and probably don't need the vaccine.
That might last forever, according to new studies.
Yeah. In fact, one of the new studies came out that said the best possible response, which may last forever, is a natural response plus one shot.
Plus one.
Which is one of the reasons why I went with Johnson & Johnson 2, and that it was just one shot, didn't have to do the second one. So look, I know it's not. I know a lot of people don't want to get it, and that's totally up to you. I think people get in this weird thing where like, oh, damn you, you're a bastard if you don't get it, or you're the worst person in the world if you do get it. It's like it's such a weird thing. It's like, well, if you want to get it, get it. They keep talking about all the people who are hesitant on it, and some people are, whatever. Like, let them make their own choices. You're at a position here where 2/3 of adults have already been vaccinated. What the hell? This is America. What response did you think you were going to get? You're going to get 100%? I mean...
Well, that's what they want.
That's
Absolutely.
what they want. But, let's be realistic here.
You're not going to get that ever.
Think about people over 65 for a second here. They rolled this thing out, and now we're at almost 90% of people over 65, the most vulnerable, have received this vaccine. That is way above what you could possibly imagine as from the independent people of America to come together in that way. I think it's overwhelming. So,
but it's still not good enough because they haven't got to the 70% for total count.
And they're not.
Will.
I mean, it's going
to
be
probably
very
get to
difficult
70,
do
but that's about it. I think 70 is attainable, but I don't think they'll do much more than that.
For adults is attainable.
For adults,
I think when you factor in kids, which is obviously when you're talking herd immunity, you have to factor in kids. And they're not going. It's going to take a long time to get there. I mean, I think it's going to take a long time for parents to be interested in getting that vaccine in large numbers. I think eventually you'll get to that point where they probably combine it with the flu vaccine, and
Should it ever be mandated by these schools or employers or governments?
It should never be mandated by governments. It should not be mandating. I don't think anybody should mandate it. First of all, I do think I'm as a person who believes that the private company can do it at once. I know a lot of that's not 100% agreement anymore among conservatives, but I do think that a company, if they want to do that, they are able to do it. Certainly, I think it's not going to hold up in court when they try to stop it. Private companies can do pretty much what they want to do.
If it wasn't a condition of your employment coming in, I don't see how you can enforce that once you're there. That seems wrong and unlawful.
But that's the judge.
But they're doing it.
Yeah.
But they're doing it.
I don't think it's. I mean, I don't. We'll see how it holds up in court. I think all these companies that want to do it are going to be able to do it. That being said, because I don't think that many companies are going to want to do it. I mean, look, we're down already 90+% when it comes to deaths.
Yeah.
We're down already 90+% when it comes to cases. We're now at the point, I mean, we went under 300 per day on average, which is still.
It was 90 last Sunday? Is that what it was?
Yeah, there was one day where it was 90.
Where
which
only 90 people
90
died.
is about an average flu day. Right? So now it's not we're not on an average there. That was one day. But still, we're getting to that point where because 2/3 of adults have had this, because 90% of people over 65 have done the vaccine, we're at a point, plus a lot of people like Keith, like myself, COVID-19 survivor, have already had the virus, right? Like you're at a point where like these numbers are not, they don't make sense for employers to be like, unless you're at a hospital, right? Like, I mean, the Houston hospital, you guys may have talked about that story.
Yeah.
I mean, like, look, they have policies that they believe that this is good. You might not think it's good, but like that's probably not a place you can work then. Just like if I believe abortion is bad, I probably shouldn't go to an abortion clinic to get a job, right? Like I mean, I probably will get fired. I mean, like
if you won't perform
the abortion, they should probably fire me, and I
yeah.
can't really have. It's not, like this is something they find to be very important at this place of employment.
Did you have any side effects at all from your shot?
Absolutely none at all.
None.
Nope.
And no magnets stick to you?
No magnets stick to me. Well, as I did point out, as I walk by refrigerators, they seem to charge at me. If it's a stainless steel refrigerator, it will wheel itself at me.
My father-in-law has to take a wide berth in our kitchen now. I've pulled him off our refrigerator more times than I can count.
It's like the old David Letterman Velcro bit. I just stick to things like this against walls.
Are you kind of disappointed that you can't do the magnet trick?
I wouldn't say disappointed is the right word, but it would have been fun. It would have been cool.
Sure.
Well, you've only had the Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah, maybe
it's my understanding. It's from
it's
some
others.
show called I don't know, some show you do. What's it called again? I don't remember.
Doing something.
Yeah.
Stu does something.
I believe that was you on this particular show that said you were going to get all the vaccines.
I want all of them. So it's funny because I look. I always say this to people when they're like, they don't like the vaccine, and like it's funny because like so many of the people that I talk to don't like the vaccine, but also love Donald Trump. Like love the guy. Like there's a deep emotional connection to Donald Trump, and it's like, well, Donald Trump, it's a huge part of his legacy. These vaccines. This
it might be the biggest. Part of his legacy.
A pandemic is ending largely based on these.
Yep.
And it's going to end around the world largely based on these.
Yes.
This is a guy that everyone in the media hates. They won't give him 1 ounce of credit for it.
Yeah.
And like I think too, like the other way is true. If you think vaccines are bad, which again is up to you, if you think that they're not working or they have these side effects or whatever, you have to hold Donald Trump partially, maybe significantly responsible for it. I mean, you can't. I don't think you can say that like I talk to people who are like, I think these vaccines are the worst things in the world, and they're absolutely terrible, and they're doing all these terrible things to people. Well, it's like, okay, how can you vote for Donald Trump then?
And it's usually Trump
Right.
supporters saying that.
Right.
On the other hand, the people who love the vaccine and are singing songs about them
Every day.
on the internet.
Yes.
And we played those heinous abortions.
We have another today. I don't know if you want to get to it, but it is.
We probably will before the end of the
it's
show.
bad.
But those are the people who hate Donald Trump's guts.
Yes.
And they're taking the vaccines and they're celebrating the vaccine that he ushered through.
Yeah, and look, this is why as you point out,
weird.
I didn't make a song about getting the freaking shot.
Why
I
not?
didn't
We want that.
Yeah,
The people demand it.
People
Stu.
do demand it. That's
Yeah,
true.
that'd be great on your show.
I think the product stands for itself, right? If you look at it, if these results and you don't think they're good enough, then don't take it if you don't want to. I think we're beyond the point where we need to harangue people into doing it. If you think it works, then take it. If you think you're at risk, take it. And the same, like there becomes a point, and we are at that point where there are vaccines available for everyone who wants them. That means this as a pandemic era is over.
Thank
right?
you.
Yes. People can go out and get it. Now, the same thing, I have a lot of friends around here that don't like the vaccine at all. And like just like me taking that vaccine makes me responsible for my potential metal explosion or whatever else is going to happen from this, right? they're responsible for if they get COVID. God
Right.
forbid something happens. Like, they are taking that risk on, as I am.
You making that decision does not affect my life. Me making my decision does not affect your life. And these people that say, well, you better be wearing a seatbelt when you're out driving. No, stop it. Stop it.
Right.
Stop trying to make this into something that it's not.
Well, but if you get into a head-on collision
Yeah.
and you're not wearing a seatbelt,
Yeah.
you become a missile to
missile.
the other
Yeah.
people, the occupants of the other car.
So, yeah, exactly.
That's why you have to wear a seatbelt.
So me refusing to roll up my sleeve, I've just become a societal missile.
You're a societal
of
missile.
COVID.
Societal missile.
You're a virus missile. That's what you
There
are.
it is. We got to start mixing that in.
I mean, look, what's so great about all of this, and it's interesting talking to a lot of people, particularly in conservative media, who are more skeptical than the general population on this stuff. Like, you could end up in a place that makes everybody happy, which is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
You just
Right.
Remember when we
make your
used to
own
agree
damn
on that?
decisions.
That was awesome.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
were good times,
I
man.
know.
Those times don't come back.
I still agree
No,
with it. I think
they're
you know
not.
what I have no problem with people who decide that they don't think it's right for them. But on the other hand, like the other thing should be true too. Like you should be okay with other people taking it, and
Yeah.
don't try to rip the things off the market because you don't want to take them.
And I love the people celebrating China right now. Where they've gotten 1 billion vaccinations in China. Yeah, they force people to get the vaccination there, and their crappy vaccine
don't even work.
doesn't
They
work.
don't even work. Two of them, and neither one of them seems to work
Plus, I
very
will
well.
say, if someone came to me with a vaccine and a gun to my head, I would probably choose the vaccine.
Yeah, a lot of people would.
Well, I'm glad you've gone ahead and made that decision because you might have to put that into practice someday.
But I will say, look, as I point out, we're at 2/3 of adults that are vaccinated.
That's
and
pretty good.
None of this stuff has happened, right? There aren't vaccine passports in any major way. There are very few. I mean, the Houston hospital is notable because it's one of the only businesses, really, who's doing this.
It's
There are
really
some-
enforced it.
Right.
And
there are some
fired
colleges
people for it.
There are some colleges that are doing it.
Yeah.
There are. It's not to say that you can do everything you want to do. However, that being said, again, these are private businesses we're talking about
Right.
that you don't get to do this in any. There's always restrictions. Businesses do get to set their own rules largely. But beyond that, I mean, you walk around Texas, there's never been anyone who's ever asked me if I'm vaccinated at any
No.
place I've ever
Me
gone.
neither.
No.
Me neither.
Any of you guys?
No.
All right. So
Nowhere.
I think a lot of this stuff is worthwhile to think about and say, hey, we shouldn't go down this road where we're requiring people to show passports as they walk into businesses. On the other hand, because I think these things have worked as well as they have, I don't think there's a lot of demand from people to make this a thing.
Yeah, no one's asked, but there have been signs on the door. Vaccinated guests aren't required to wear masks. Okay, fine, I'm vaccinated, whatever.
Right. But that's what.
But
But again,
they don't ask you when you go
Right,
in.
no,
No,
it
they
starts
don't.
with the sign, and then eventually.
see, I think it ends with the sign.
Okay, good.
I think honestly, where this ends, because the numbers have now. Look, you never know with this crap, right? Like, this has all hit us out of nowhere. If we get to a place where there's 10,000 people dying a day again or something, 4,000 people dying again, we get to the peak level somehow. I don't foresee that happening, but if that were to happen, these vaccines completely fall apart and don't work and everything reverses, God only knows where we go from there. Hopefully not to those levels. But at these levels, unless something drastically changes, there's not. I mean, the demand here in Texas, and I was in Nashville, it was the same thing. Florida is the same thing. The inertia is to open.
Yeah.
The inertia is not to close. Yes, there are people like Gavin Newsom who keep doing these, who will do these crazy things and hold on to this stuff longer. But I mean, you walk into you were talking about this the other day on News and Why, Pat. You went into a restaurant and no one.
Not one single customer
person.
had a mask on.
Like,
Not
No.
one.
You're not gonna. They're not asking whether these people are vaccinated. We know probably in Texas about half of them aren't.
Right.
Even though
Right, but-
workers.
Right. No, the workers were.
Yeah, the workers are.
The wait staff
Yeah.
wore masks.
And I don't know how long that lasts. I don't think it's that long.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I
I'll
don't
bet
think
by
it's
the
that
end of
long.
the summer, maybe,
as long
middle
as the
of
numbers
fall.
stay strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're already. I mean, I know I'm seeing. I would say about half the places here they're not. Like I went to a hotel the other day, and because we're having repairs done to our house, and we have to stay in a hotel. And the people behind the counter at the hotel are not even wearing masks at this point.
Oh man, are you okay?
Yeah, but what about the Delta variant, yo?
Well,
right.
Look, I think there's some of that stuff is worrisome.
Let me ask you this.
I don't
Stu.
think it's.
I haven't gotten your opinion on this. When they reinstate Trump in August,
Okay.
do you believe that he'll mandate that we get the vaccine since it is his project?
That's a great point.
Yeah,
I don't know
so
how like the hardcore MAGA person reacts to that.
When
What if
he's
he comes in
reinstated?
and he mandates
And he
it?
mandates.
Do they say yes to it?
I think
or
they
no?
do.
I don't.
I think the hardcore MAGA people will say, "Okay, yes." I think they would.
Really?
Yes,
I
because it
think
came from Trump.
I do honestly believe this. A big chunk of this goes a different way if he had won.
Exactly. I've had this thought.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
I really do think that, because I think you would have had liberals like Kamala Harris out there saying, "Hey," I mean, she was doing this in the campaign.
You know what?
Don't take the vaccine.
Don't take the vaccine,
Bro.
And I think Republicans would have been a lot more likely to take it.
So I'm
Yes.
sorry to interrupt, but
So weird.
I've got to say this. So there's a lady out there that tweeted out on September 29th during the debate. She said, "My family and my kids aren't taking any vaccine for COVID-19 until we have a new president and science that backs it up." September of 2020. Now, I hate this for her, but she then tweeted out just the other day, "Our 15-year-old just spent a week at the Children's Hospital after getting the second dose of Pfizer." And then she goes on to list the heart conditions and stuff, the long-term effects. We don't know what they're going to be. And she's blaming the vaccine. But it's right to your point just there, because in September, she was against the vaccine strictly based on politics and who was in power as they developed Operation Warp Speed.
Yeah.
Now she has her son in a children's hospital because he took the vaccine, supposedly.
Yeah.
But she was totally fine with it because Biden's president now.
Yeah, and look, that's an insane way to do it too. I mean, the heart conditions thankfully have been super rare and have been only exclusively on the second shot, which is something look to consider if you have a young person.
That is the thing. That is the thing. Please, can we agree on this? If you want to get the vaccine, it's your business, your body, your choice. But may I kindly suggest you go with the ones that don't have the two shots, because it's always the second shot that seems to be doing this, man.
Yeah, I think look, they think there's a strong kids have strong immune responses, and the second one for very few people, but still it's worth again with the Johnson & Johnson available in this country and approved and available everywhere because it's not a high demand item. I mean, if I'm going to vaccinate my kid, I'm going to go there. The problem is they haven't approved it they haven't done this. Only Pfizer's approved for 12 to 15. So again, is it a huge worry if you have a kid who's 12 years old to get your kid vaccinated?
So.
I don't think so. Maybe if you live with someone who's particularly immune, compromised and can't get the vaccine themselves, there are other steps. Certain people, there might be different cases. But generally speaking, it's not. You don't necessarily need to rush. I think I probably would wait. I wouldn't worry about it. I don't want to overstate the worry, but if you have the choice between Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer, you probably go with Johnson & Johnson, and that there should have been no issues with that for young men. But again, these things are really super rare, and by the way, much worse if you get COVID. Even if you take into the account that you're not going to get COVID, the long-term effects are notable. They're already there. We know about those. So I, again, am really positive on them, but the most important thing here is you actually just are able to make your own freaking decisions with your life.
Yep. Appreciate it.
We didn't even get to talk about Suits.
I know. Dang it.
All I want to talk about is Suits.
Stu has been proclaiming the splendor that is the show Suits for 10 years?
Oh, yeah. I love the show.
Easily 10 years. And I ignored it until fairly recently. Once I saw the first episode, I was so deeply hooked that I binged on that thing every single day.
When you're done,
how I love that show.
When you're done with that run, I need to get you into Arrested Development.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
But
solid.
You think you'll like that? You think you'll like that?
Yeah,
it can go either way, right?
It's a different vibe completely, but I do like Arrested Development.
But Suits, I thought, I saw Boston Legal and L.A. Law, and I've seen the lawyer shows. This is
not like this.
so much
Cool.
better.
Never seen it.
I might check it out too. We'll see.
All right, thanks, Stu.
Hey, thank you.
We'll be listening for you on the Glenn Beck program next.